There were almost 1,500 players that stepped foot into an MLB game in 2024, all representing different areas of the globe. Today, we're going to highlight the United States and the best player from each of the 50 states. Quick disclaimer, this is based on where the player was actually born. I don't care if they went to preschool somewhere else, we're just looking at birth certificates today. So let's start with Alaska. The greatest player from America's last frontier is, well, nobody. MLB has not seen an Alaskan-born player since 2019, when Tony Barnett played in his last Major League Baseball game. Alright, now let's get started. Moving on to Alabama. It's a no-brainer. He's been in the state all his life. It's Gunnar Henderson. Coming in as one of the game's top prospects in 2023, Gunnar easily captured Rookie of the Year honors, and he followed that up with an 8-WAR season this year, hitting 37 bombs, which led him to receive 4th place in a very contested AL MVP vote. Gunnar is a stud. He's a true 5-tool talent, and he's only 23 years old. The sky's the limit for the O shortstop. Headed to the desert. I think Cody Bellinger remains the best player born in Arizona, most known for his 2019 MVP with the Dodgers, where he recorded an absolutely incredible season of statistics. Bellinger revived his career in Chicago on a 1-year deal in 2023 after an unceremonious dismissal in LA. While his second season in the Windy City wasn't as good as his first, he was still one of the best bats within that Cubbies order. Although not quite good enough, evidently, for the front office to stomach his contract, as the Cubs shipped him off to New York, where Bellinger will become the primary center fielder next year. In Arkansas, it is a bit of slim picking. Just 8 players born in the state played in the year 2024. I'm going to give the nod to the rookie, Gavin Stone in LA. Gavin looked really good this year. He tossed a 3.5 ERA in 25 starts, and he was a big help to the fragmented Dodgers rotation. His 7-pitch repertoire was very effective and helped Stone excel at basically every metric in his first full MLB season. Unfortunately, he did go down with the shoulder injury late in August, and he's projected to miss the entirety of the 2025 season to recover. But I'm very much looking forward to watching Gavin when he returns. There's no state producing more MLB talent than California. 232 players entered at least one game this season, with the likes of Freddie Freeman, Garrett Cole, Tarek Skubal coming from the Golden State. But come on, it's got to be Aaron Judge. He won his second MVP award this year, somehow topping the 2022 MVP campaign, where he broke the American League record for home runs with 62, and he just missed out on winning the Triple Crown Award. His .322 batting average was just a bit shy of Bobby Witt Jr.'s .332. Aaron Judge was simply unstoppable in the regular season. In Colorado, the best player at this point has got to be Kevin Gausman. He's been one of the best pitchers in baseball since his breakout with the Giants at the turn of the decade. Now in Toronto, Gausman remains a very good starter. Kevin features one of, if not the best, split-finger fastball in all of baseball, which led Gausman to be a perennial Cy Young candidate these past couple of years. Although his elite numbers did slip a bit this season, I have little doubt he'll be back strong in 2025 affront that Blue Jays rotation. Just 10 players are representing the state of Connecticut, and after a big year in 2024, Mark Vientos looks to be the best of them. The Mets for years have attempted to find the successor to David Wright, and while the glove work may not be up to par, Vientos could very well be that next elite third baseman in Queens thanks to his great hitting tools. Vientos clubbed 27 homers in the regular season and was one of the main cogs in that Mets run into the postseason, hitting another 5 dingers with a near 1,000 OPS in the month of October. The Mets have developed a key piece to their success in Mark Vientos. Staying in the Northeast, Delaware has an even shorter list of MLB talent. Just 4 players suited up for a game this past season. And despite a down year by his standards, Paul Goldschmidt undoubtedly remains the best. Goldie's a Hall of Famer. His great tenure with the D-backs and Most Valuable Player Award in St. Louis have cemented that. And while 2024 marks the worst season in his 14-year career, I certainly think that there's reason to believe Goldschmidt has got something left in the tank as he prepares to become the Yankees' new first baseman. It's no California, but over 100 active players are representing the Sunshine State of Florida. Once again, there's no shortage of talent here, but if I've got to narrow it down to one, I think it's Chris Sale, another player that very well may end up in Cooperstown one day. Sale's future was in question after 4 injury-riddled seasons in Boston, where he totaled just 150 innings on the mound. Shipping off for Atlanta, it couldn't have gone better for Sale or the Braves. A Triple Crown season, leading the National League in wins, ERA, and strikeouts, helping Sale easily capture his long-awaited Cy Young victory. On the border of Florida is Georgia, and funny enough, their best talent was the runner-up to Florida's Chris Sale in the Cy Young race. Zach Wheeler has been truly dominant with the Phillies, so much so that they rewarded him with a 3-year extension that pays him $42 million each of the next 3 seasons. He's as dependable as anyone, missing just 6 starts in now 5 years wearing the cherry pinstripes. Zach's held a very impressive ERA during that span, which reads under 3, as he cemented himself as one of the few true aces in Major League Baseball. The Rainbow State of Hawaii has produced just a handful of memorable big leaguers in its time, but an extraordinary one today in Kirby Yates. He was on top of the world in 2019 with the Padres, known league-wide as one of the game's elite closers, but injuries would set him back for the following years to come. Until this year, Kirby's age 37 season, where he'd earn an All-Star nod, saving 33 games for the Rangers with a microscopic 1.2 earned run average. The 4-seam and split-fingered stud will pitch out of the Dodgers bullpen this season, adding more firepower to the Armada in LA. Only 3 active players can say that they were born in Idaho, and none of those 3 have really pulled ahead quite yet as an MLB roster staple. But former top prospect Kyle Manzardo seems like the easy choice right now. A lefty bat with lots of power, he came over to Cleveland at a 2023 trade with Tampa Bay that sent Aaron Savale to the Rays. With just 50-some games under his major league belt to this point, Manzardo is still largely unproven, but he looked very good in the postseason, hitting .316 and smashing a home run against the Yankees during the Guardians' trip to the ALCS. The best player coming out of Illinois is also the only player who can say he played in the same game for both teams. Danny Jansen had built himself up as one of the better offensive catchers in the game. From the 21 to 23 seasons, he boasted a slugging percentage of .487, a very impressive mark for a backstop. This past year was somewhat of a downer, leading to a trade at the deadline. But now headed to Tampa Bay in free agency, Danny's got a chance to get his numbers back on track. At the beginning of the year, I'm not sure that Sean Manaea would have been my pick out of Indiana, coming off a couple poor seasons with the Giants and the Padres. But Manaea was brilliant for the Mets this past year, putting up his best campaign to date in a contract year for himself. Manaea flattened out his arm angle over the past couple of years, and when combined with his great extension off the mound, it makes it extremely tough for opposing hitters. Sean Manaea was vital to the Mets during their run in October, throwing 3 gems on the hill that likely was a big reason the two sides came together this free agency period to re-up on a 3-year, $75 million extension. The Hawkeye State features a pair of good starters, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Michael Wacha. After a great start to his career with the Cardinals, Wacha's career entered a state of free fall towards the end of the 2010s. Michael would play for a different team every year between 2019 and 2024, but he finally appears to have his home settled in Kansas City. A strong year earned Wacha a 3-year extension with the Royals. He was very good in KC this past season. In 29 starts, pitching to a 3.35 ERA. Wacha was a great pickup by J.J. Piccolo last winter, and he'll prove to be a key member of that formidable trifecta in the Royals' rotation going forward. There were not a lot of stars hailing from the great state of Kansas, but most notably is Blake Treinen. Blake had about as good of a year as you can in 2018, taking up the closer role with Oakland. 38 saves with an ERA at 0.78. He's since dressed in Dodger blue since 2020, and when he is healthy, there are few better. Injuries have limited his appearances for LA, but Treinen was essential to the Dodgers championship in 2024. He was great in the postseason and helped carry LA to victory, getting 7 big outs to earn LA another championship ring for these two Kentuckians to wear. Honestly, I can't choose. Both Will Smith and Walker Buehler have been so important to the Dodgers. Will Smith has solidified himself as one of the best catchers in baseball. Back-to-back All-Star Game appearances in 2023 and 2024, clubbing 111 home runs in just over 600 games behind the plate. Meanwhile, Walker Buehler was a continual Cy Young favorite a couple years back, before his second Tommy John surgery in 2022 would sideline him until this regular season, where he clearly was not himself. But come October, he was integral to LA's World Series victory, getting the save in the final game. Louisiana has some fine pitching to its name, but I'll narrow it down and give the nod to Seth Lugo. Since he was asked to once again become a starter, Lugo has adjusted fantastically. The Royals made one of the best signings a year ago, bringing him to KC. Seth tossed an even 3.0 ERA, pitching over 200 innings to help earn his first All-Star nomination, resulting in Seth being named Cy Young runner-up. Headed up to Maine, and for the second time on this list, there's no active players born to the Pine Tree State. Ryan Flaherty, who last laced up his spikes in an MLB game in 2019, was the most recent product from Maine. Maryland is a tight race. The easy decision would be either Josh Hader or Brian Reynolds, but I'm going to take the leap of faith and give the Rook his due credit. Jackson Merrill was spectacular as a rookie. 11 ounce above average in the outfield with a 130 WRC plus at the dish in your first year? That is almost unheard of. Watching this kid play, you'd have no idea his career is just getting started. It seemed like every time that Merrill's spot in the order came up at a big moment, he'd save the day for those Friars. And even though he would lose the Rookie of the Year race to Paul Skeens, I think there's no doubt that Jackson Merrill has got true superstar potential in this league. Massachusetts had been a hotbed of developing baseball stars early in MLB's history, but today it's been a bit of a different story. Mike Yastrzemski, the grandson of Carl, is likely the best today. He hasn't near reached the accomplishments of the former Red Sox Hall of Famer, but Mike has knocked out 106 round-trippers in his 6-year MLB career and remains a solid piece in that Giants outfield. This list we've already featured 4 Dodgers, and Michigan will mark our 5th. Tommy Edman, a stalwart in the Cardinals lineup for years and a Swiss Army knife capable of playing nearly every position. Tommy was shipped off to Los Angeles this summer, and he made a big impact on the eventual champs. Tommy was named MVP of this year's NLCS, batting .407 with 11 RBI, and Edman was again instrumental to the Dodgers' World Series efforts. LA would honor Tommy with a 5-year extension that'll keep the ultimate utility man in Dodger blue for the next 5 seasons. The land of 10,000 lakes, the North Star State, and my own birthplace of Minnesota. For the first time on this list, I'm going to give the honor to a player representing his hometown team, Matt Wallner. As a Twins fan, watching the development of Wally has been a great sight to see, and he's really matured as a hitter over his 2 years in the bigs. Wallner has got some of the most raw power in the game today, helping him boast a 143 WRC plus and a 155 WRC plus in back-to-back campaigns. Although some strikeout and whiff issues persist, when Wallner gets a hold of one, there's no telling how far it'll fly. We'll head south to Mississippi, where Garrett Crochet should hold the best in state honors. Crochet had a tough start to his MLB career. A top prospect, he was never able to stay healthy in his first years with the White Sox. He'd pitched just 73 innings from 2020 to 2023. He'd double that total, however, this past year. Crochet leaving his opponents in stitches, striking out an astounding 35.1% of batters faced, giving White Sox fans at least something to be excited about tuning into games this summer. Although not for any longer, as Crochet will swap his White Sox for red ones, where he'll front the rotation in Boston. If I made this list, well, really any of the past 15 years, Max Scherzer would almost surely be at the top in the state of Missouri. But I believe that time has finally passed, and the honor now should be given to Devin Williams. Since 2020, D-Will has been as good as any reliever in baseball. A combined 1.7 ERA over that span. When he's healthy, I'm not sure there's many, if any, relievers I'd rather give the ball to than Devin Williams. And with this trade over to the Yankees, I'm very excited to see how he handles the big stage of the Bronx. The best player from Montana, I'd have to say, is Grant McCray. Mainly because he's the only current major leaguer to be born in Montana. With just 37 games under his belt thus far, the jury's still out on Grant McCray, but he should get lots more opportunity this year in that San Fran outfield, and he can prove why he's the best in Montana. The home of the College World Series, Nebraska. Alec Boehm is my pick for the best out of the Cornhusker State. Alec put up his best season yet in 2024. A great first half led him to be named to his first ever All-Star game, as well as a shot competing in the Home Run Derby. Boehm has also really shown improvement in his defense at the hot corner. It was a big year for Alec, as he nearly doubled the career WAR total he accrued in his first 4 MLB seasons. It is honestly a bit shocking to me that Nevada has produced just 54 major leaguers in history. It is not shocking, however, that Bryce Harper is the best there of all time. From high school phenom to unbridled star, Harper's career has been the embodiment of the atmosphere in Las Vegas. Flashy, expensive, but must watch. The past 3 trips into the postseason with the Phillies approved, there's no stage too big for the showman. With 2 MVPs already under his belt and rapidly soaring tallies in the stat sheets, I think it's safe to say that Cooperstown has a place on the wall reserved for Bryce Harper. Not regarded as a very big baseball state, New Hampshire has just 3 active MLB players, and I suppose that makes Ian Hamilton the best of them. Just over 100 career innings after his 5th year up in MLB, Ian has been a solid reliever for the Yankees these past couple seasons. His standout slider caused batters to whiff on average nearly 45% of the time since 2023. It has been a difficult past couple of years for the man who calls New Jersey home, but Mike Trout is undoubtedly still the face of the Garden State. Trout's first 10 years in the majors have already made him into a no-doubt first-ballot Hall of Famer, an 11-time All-Star who was named Rookie of the Year in 2012, who has collected 9 Silver Sluggers in the outfield and 3 Most Valuable Player awards. There's no individual achievement that Mike Trout has not accomplished, but injuries have slowed him down considerably since the turn of the decade. Trout has played in just 266 games over the past 4 seasons. I don't think there's any question in Mike Trout's ability, but let's hope in 2025 we can see some more availability. The land of enchantment, New Mexico is where Alex Bregman called home before beginning his great career in Houston. But now, 9 years and 191 home runs deep into his career, Alex is a free agent. It's been a fantastic run, which has featured 2 top 5 MVP vote campaigns and 2 World Series trophies that he helped install into the Minute Maid Park trophy case. Bregman remains one of the best in the game at the hot corner, this year taking home his first ever Gold Glove award. But now he's packed his bags for Boston, as he signed a big deal with the Red Sox this offseason, home to probably the most famous sports franchise to ever exist. And countless Hall of Famers alike, the current king of New York's name is Michael. Michael King has got to be one of the most underrated arms in the league. The former Yankee dealt the San Diego and the Juan Soto blockbuster. King's transition into a starting role has led him to become a star. 2024 was his best year yet, seeing him pitch 173 innings with an ERA under 3, much thanks to his world-class changeup fronting his arsenal. Headed over to the Tar Heel State, a notorious baseball hub, Corey Seager has my vote here. His resume on the World Series stage precedes him, a 2-time MVP, as he led both the Dodgers and Rangers to world titles during the Fall Classic. Seager put up phenomenal numbers during his 2023 campaign. If it wasn't for the outlandish season by Shohei Ohtani, Corey would have a regular season MVP to add on to his postseason hardware. And even though this year's numbers were a bit down from the past season, Corey still hammered 30 balls into the seats alongside a very impressive 140 WRC+. That, alongside continual improvements on defense, Corey Seager is a top player in baseball. No question. There's only been 20 players to ever come out of North Dakota, and just 2 that are active major leaguers today. The best of them has got to be Matt Strahm. The former Royal, Padre, and Red Sox became an all-star for the first time in 2024 with the Phillies. Strahm has become one of the most feared lefties in any bullpen. His earned run average was well under 2.0 this season, while Strahm touted one of the best strikeout to walk ratios in all of MLB, the Buckeye State of Ohio. Although he was shelved for nearly the entirety of 2024, I have to give the honor to Spencer Strider. Before going under the knife for an elbow surgery, Strider was superb on the hill for the Braves, striking out a truly insane 37% of batters over his first 2 major league campaigns. Protect your eyes when viewing his Savant page, as it's glowing bright red all over. He'll be back a bit into the 2025 season and will be traded to countless Ks as hitters helplessly fling their bats at his excellent slider coupled with his triple-digit heater. Headed down to the Sooner State, Oklahoma's own Ryan Helsley was shut down for the Cardinals in his debut at the closing role. He saved an MLB best 49 ball games for the Birds with an ERA merely a shade above 2. The modern-day Hells Bells has been elite these past 3 seasons and is without a doubt one of the top relief arms in the game. An Oregon native through birth to college, Adley Rutschman is the easy pick here. Since his call-up in 2022, Adley has already racked up an impressive list of accolades as he established himself as perhaps the best catcher in the league. Rutschman did see his production noticeably dip in the second half of the 24 season, but he still finished the year as a plus bat in a great Baltimore lineup. As a switch hitter who'll bat out of the right-handed box, I'll bet Adley is very excited about the O's decision to move in their left field fence ahead of the 2025 season. Pennsylvania historically has produced the second most MLB players of all time, although today we see just 26 players active in the league as of 2024. My pick has never been an all-star, and to me is one of the most underrated players in all of baseball. Christian Walker has quietly been phenomenal for the D-backs these past 3 seasons, swatting 95 home runs in those years while collecting a Gold Glove award in each of them. Now headed to Houston, I hope more fans can finally give Christian Walker the type of recognition he has well earned through his great play over the years. The smallest state in the United States naturally has 0 active ball players. Rhode Island had 2 players up in the big leagues at some point in 2023, with Trevor Kelly and Thomas Pannone both seeing playing time. Maybe one of them or a newcomer will see some action this upcoming year and bring some attention to little Rhodey. South Carolina, to me, is a bit of a crapshoot. Nobody from the state necessarily stood out in 2024, so I'm going to give it to Jordan Montgomery, a very talented pitcher that had a dreadful last season. His 6+ ERA even sparked the Diamondbacks owner to publicly apologize for his signing. That being said, I do think that the delayed start to the season played a big role, and I think Jordan partly believes that too, as he fired his agent, Scott Boras, shortly after his signing with the D-backs. It's difficult to get into a groove when missing spring training. Come in rusty and have the pressure of being a new guy on the roster. I think he's going to find himself again this offseason and get his career back on track to pre-2024 levels, where he was a key piece to the Rangers World Series winner in 23. And for the 4th time on this list, South Dakota also features 0 active players in MLB. The last representative they had in baseball was the former All-Star closer, Sean Doolittle. Obi Sean, we miss ya. Tennessee has a handful of great talent up in the bigs today, but none quite on the level of the former MVP and now 3-time champ Mookie Betts. Mookie's 6-year tenure in Boston was terrific, resulting in an uproar of Red Sox fans when the team traded him to the Dodgers in 2020. It should be no hot take to claim that Mookie Betts is going to waltz his way into Cooperstown. He's already racked up 60 F-WAR in his career, with a laundry list of accolades. Not to mention, he just turned 32, with no signs of slowing down. They say everything's bigger in Texas, and that is definitely true for their current crop of major leaguers. Over 100 are active today. And I'm happy to say that Bobby Witt Jr., just in year 3, is the best of them. Bobby is purely amazing, and he's already become one of the greatest players in the game. An outstanding defender, winning his first Gold Glove award this season at shortstop, while leading all MLB in batting. He hit for a .332 average while smacking 32 homers and swiping 30 bags. Bobby is going to be so good for so many years to come. Utah, shockingly, does not have quite the same baseball culture as the Longhorn State. They have just 6 active MLBers and only 48 all-time in the league's history. Funny enough, 5 of the 6 active today are all rookies. So let's go ahead and give the honor to Cubs reliever Porter Hodge. He cemented himself in the history books this past summer, being 1/3 of the combined no-hitter started by Shota Imanaga. Psst, I was there. It was a very good first campaign for Porter, bolstering a 1.88 ERA in 43 innings of work. He should be in line to be an important piece to the Cubbies bullpen going forward. Headed back up to the New England region, Vermont is another state without an active MLB rep. The state has produced just 38 total players over time, and they've been without an active big leaguer since Derek Barton last played in 2014. Virginia, home to the first colony of the United States, naturally they've had a rich history of influential Americans. 8 U.S. presidents were born in Virginia, but many baseball players have also come from the state. Brenton Doyle, born in Warrenton, Virginia, is my choice for the best. He has got real 5-tool ability. A back-to-back Gold Glove winner, Brenton is about as good as it gets in the outfield. He's credited for 30 defensive runs saved and 31 outs above average in just those 2 seasons. Incredible numbers. But this past year, Doyle added his bat to his game. He hit 23 homers in 2024 while stealing 30 bases. His game at the plate does still need some work, But Doyle's got all the talent to be a true star. The Pacific Northwest, Washington State, produced the two-time Cy Young winner, Tim Lincecum. And now another, the decorated, multi-Cy Young awarded left-hander Blake Snell, and the newest member of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Snell is as great as any hurlers active today, despite a bumpy offseason last year, which left Blake teamless until late March. After Snell shook the rust off, he followed up his 2023 Cy Young win with another fantastic season on the hill, setting a career high in strikeout percentage and tossing his first ever no-hitter. What a year for Blake Snell. West Virginia, Mountain Mama. This one's easy, since there's just one active player. Michael Grove. It's been a tough start to his MLB career. His ERA, sitting at 5.5 through 150 innings, is far from how any player wants to start their journey in the bigs. But his peripherals did show a nice increase in 2024, which hopefully bodes well for next year, as you'll have to fight for a roster spot on a very stacked Dodger pitching staff. America's Dairyland brings a lot more to the table than milk, cheese, and butter. Wisconsin's own Dalton Varsho may very well be the absolute best defensive player in all of baseball today. According to Fangraphs, he's saved almost 30 runs in each of the past 2 seasons, while totaling 27 outs above average during that time. That kind of glove work, combined with belting 22 home runs on average since 2022, Varsho is an incredibly underrated player there in Toronto. And finally, the last state in alphabetical order, Wyoming, who has produced the second fewest ball players with 17 total, just 5 more than in Alaska. And as of right now, Wyoming has just one current player, that being Brandon Nimmo, the longest tenured Met. Nimmo has produced a very good career to this point, although somewhat quietly. Nimmo has generated 25 FWAR in just 911 games thus far, but often receives little recognition. He's struggled to stay healthy in the early parts of his career, but he's played over 150 games each season since 2022, hitting a collective 63 homers while sporting a .353 on-base percentage. Nimmo plays with lots of grit, and he's proved to be an integral piece to this Mets core that hopes to finally get over the hurdle and once again become champions. So there it is, the best player in baseball from every state in the United States. The U.S. is as talented as ever before on the baseball diamond, but we've long since bared witness to an international surge, players from all over the world making their mark and cementing their legacies. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and we'll take a look at the best active players from every country on planet Earth.